Fun fact, I have written out hundreds of intentionally low-effort top 5 lists, which were to initially serve as filler videos between major monthly installments. However, after producing a few, I have decided to make them a sort of dead man switch in the event of my untimely death. I am making enough of these to where, in the event that I die, I can have these things uploaded once a week for the next 2 to 3 years in order to provide income for my wife while she finishes school and raises whatever children we may or may not have at that time. This is basically the closest thing to a YouTube life insurance policy that you can get. This is not one of those top 5 lists. This is the top 5 best games that Charlatan played in 2018. It's still probably a pretty crappy list though, let's be honest. Coming in at number 5 is Depth of Extinction. Depth of Extinction is a tactical turn-based RPG from HOF Studios that follows along the line of the classic XCOM games back when they still had a hyphen in them. There's also an FTL-like overworld that you'll use to travel around the map during missions you take, which will dictate where you are and what kind of tile sets you get instead of the traditional way of, okay, you landed in this particular part of the globe, so you're gonna get a tile set like that. While the game does have an issue with kind of looking samey compared to every other 16-bit styled game in the indie market since 2010, that's not really why I like it. I like it because it has most of the turn-based tactics trappings of games like XCOM, Xenonauts, and etc., but despite the fact that there's this weird MacGuffin thing in the beginning of the game, there's no real rush to go save the world. There's no ticking clock. Rather than figure out what the heck just happened with the prophecy, magical destiny, whatever it is this time thing, you're a bunch of mercenaries fretting over if you should spring for the submarine charter that also has a medevac feature in it, or if you want to hire that one mercenary again. You'll have to deal with that whole, oh, we have to stop the apocalypse again thing eventually, but for now, let's just make sure we make payroll for all our guys. The best way I can think to sum it all up is it's more simplistic of all the turn-based tactics games, but it has more of a Spider-Man Homecoming feel to everyone else's Avengers movie. The stakes are not immediately, oh yeah, the fate of the universe hangs on us. We're gonna have to get to it eventually, but for now, let's just make some money. This is a game I fully plan on covering in 2019, however, I just don't have the time right now to give it the time and playthrough that I would need in order to do a full video. Coming in at number 4 is Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a Metroidvania roguelike game that stops trying to reinvent the wheel and decides to improve its limited slip rear differential for a fast, fun experience that pulls like a warp drive. Dead Cells is pure action with just enough story to keep you interested. The fast recharge of special abilities and chaining dodge rolls with down attacks with God knows what else makes for some frantic but very responsive and tight gameplay. The game's non-timed rest areas, along with a time bonus for if you finish a level fast enough on the next level, make the game feel like a series of fun sprints as opposed to a grueling marathon that a lot of roguelike games end up feeling like because you have to save all your HP for the final boss. No such case in Dead Cells, you get a fresh start every time. If you haven't picked up Dead Cells yet, I would highly recommend it. Number 3 on this list is Dishonored by Arcane Studios, and I already know what you're thinking. Ooh, Charlatan, you've got a game on your top 5 list for 2018 that isn't from this year. Well, suck it, it's my top 5 list. I somehow hadn't played Dishonored until 2018, and I really wish I had done so much earlier. Dishonored is a better spiritual successor to the Thief franchise and the actual Thief soft reboot, which yes, it is sort of a soft reboot, but we'll get into that later in 2019. In the meantime, Dishonored is a game that knows its audience. It knows that while a good number of the people who play games like Thief want to sneak about in the place subtly stealing everything that isn't nailed down, there's also a number of people that fully took advantage of that overhead swing and knew that if you kill everyone, there won't be any witnesses to spot you. Dishonored lets you do both. It's great. You get the meticulous planning at the beginning of each level, figuring out what you're going to buy, what you're going to upgrade, what you're going to bring in, what side quests are you going to think about doing? And then you get the action of going through the level that even responds to you depending on how you acted in the previous levels, having more guards and sick patients or whatever these plague people are, depending on how violent you were previously. Or it'll be a relatively peaceful night if you manage to sneak through without killing or being seen by anyone. And of course, no matter what the mission says you're going to do, it is still an option to steal everything that isn't bolted down and then some. Dishonored does a really good job of also giving you a bunch of things that you never knew you wanted in a Thief game. like the ability to blink short distances instead of having to creep all the way down that ledge, or say the ability to summon rats to get rid of your corpses, or just get rid of them with black magic or whatever this outsider stuff is supposed to be anyway. Thief has a great way of allowing you to do things that, wait, oh wow, that's just how good it is. I just consider Dishonored like the true successor to Thief. Whatever, this game is like $3 right now for the Steam Christmas sale, and it regularly retails for $10 anyway. This is worth your time and definitely worth your money. Number 2 on the list is DeltaRune. Yep. Another banger from the mad lad Toby Fox. Like, gameplay is improved from Undertale's already great gameplay. The soundtrack is filled with hits that have been remixed and covered to high heaven because they're just that good that people can't get enough of them, so they make more. There's an interesting story to follow that leaves you wanting more at the end. And every pixel of this game just drips with pure personality and sass. I don't know what to call it. It's also a game where you're eventually going to want to replay it because there's just so many little things you can find by digging around or just doing something where they don't expect you to do it. Like, heck, as usual, there is a small cottage industry of YouTubers dedicated to just finding every little secret in these games. DeltaRune takes place in an alternate universe or a different universe from the original Undertale games with a lot of familiar faces, however a lot of new faces for you to get to know and adventure with, and eventually, rather than the underground, you go into a world that is darker, yet darker still. And who knows what other mysteries we're going to uncover and discover during the next installments of this, as this seems to be an episodic game. By the way, it's free. It is completely free. You just download it and it's all yours. No need to pay for anything. There is no reason for you not to experience this game. It may not be that long, but it is definitely something that is worth your time again. Now, before number 1, let's go over a couple honorable mentions that couldn't quite place on this list. First off, we've got the Destiny 2 Foresaken expansion, which I considered a nice mindless shooter that I initially got for free, where despite the need for an online connection, I never sent or received a single message in chat from another soul all the way from level 1 to level 50 and beyond getting gear spec'd. I even participated in a bunch of like those open world endgame raids where you gotta go take down some big nasty monster to get some endgame gear, and not a single iota of social communication took place in this game. It is like the anti-WoW. It's like, which is ironic considering it goes off Battle.net's launcher. In addition to that, this game is basically a mindless looter shooter, which while fun, can be boiled down to press left click repeatedly to watch everything die, and then you go pick up the purple thing that will get your gear score up slightly more, meaning that things will die slightly faster when you press left click. Repeat until you've got an obscenely high gear score, and things just sort of explode when you click on them. It's good mindless fun though, just this is basically a single player game with an online connection. Don't pay money for this. We've also got XCOM 2, War of the Chosen expansion pack, which not only did not come out this year, but it's an expansion again, so not really a game. Certainly a whole lot of content, certainly a whole lot of fun, and I wish I had played this earlier, but back when this came out, I just simply did not have the time in my life to play it. And I don't quite have enough time to do a full playthrough these days, especially with how much I'm working between this, my job, and school. Such is life. It's still just, if you like turn-based tactics games, you'll love War of the Chosen. The XCOM general mod for text conversion is an absolute must for this game because otherwise it takes itself a bit too seriously at times, so it needs those raunchy memes to keep it in check. Not for the faint of heart though, I will admit. The number 1 game I played this year was Subnautica, which did have its final 1.0 release this January, I believe. I don't know where to start about this game. I guess I can start by saying this is my happy place game, which is why I don't have too much footage of it. I prefer to just play this on my own downtime with no intention of really making a video, but just to enjoy the game and really unwind at times. I don't know how this game does it, but it manages to be both like scary and serene. It is both the most relaxing and the most tense game all at the same time. The exploration's amazing. The properties of being underwater just translate so well, and you really feel like you're in this world where you've got to like survive and explore and eventually get off this planet. But there's really, aside from the plot, there's really no reason to get off this planet. Why not just make your home here? I think there's a way to disable the stuff that goes on in this game and just really enjoy it in, say, a creative mode. It is not without its flaws, though. This game occasionally has weird glitches, which eventually become game-breaking if you get unlucky, and while you can fix them with a console, there's just something that robs this game of its magic when you have to use consoles to cheat all the stuff you had back in, which can ruin a playthrough, but I don't particularly mind putting in all those hours again to explore and really just take in how breathtaking this game is. This game, it was free recently, and even at full retail price on a not Fortnite hosting game storefront, it is worth every penny, and this is something that should be on your list. It's in traditional gameplay, it's in VR gameplay, and really, that's about it. I'm just waffling now. I'll see you guys in the bottom 5 of 2018 list. Okay, fine, I'll keep scritching. Keep scritching. Wait, you can't just fall asleep? You need me to be constantly petting you? Probably help if I didn't have the camera